So in some parts of the world, $2 is
Yeah.
like this heavy piece of metal just weighing down your pocket.
Right.
But then in others, it's this really fragile piece of paper that's barely clinging to relevance.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you look inside the brains of the computers running our digital world, it's absolutely nothing at all. It's just a ghost in the machine.
Completely abstract.
Right. So welcome to the deep dive. Today we are taking a really tiny, honestly, seemingly insignificant source, and we're using it to decode, well, the global evolution of money.
And human behavior, honestly.
Yeah, and human behavior and ultimate abstraction. So for you listening, we're glad you're here.
It really is always fascinating how much you can uncover when you look past the surface of an everyday object. Or I guess in this case, an everyday symbol.
Exactly. And the source material we are working with for you today is incredibly brief. Like unbelievably brief. We are literally just looking at a Wikipedia disambiguation page.
Which is wild.
Right. For the exact string of characters, $2. That is it. A literal list of definitions.
Yeah.
Last updated on May 4, 2024, by the way.
Yeah, and normally, I mean, a disambiguation page is just a digital traffic cop.
Right.
Like, it exists purely to point you in the right direction when you search for a term that has, multiple meanings.
Yeah, they aren't designed to tell a story or, like, present an argument.
No, not at all. They're indexes. They're stripped down, strictly factual, and entirely utilitarian.
But that is exactly what makes this one so brilliant, I think. Because when you strip away the noise and just look at the raw data of how the world defines the symbol for $2.
These massive global patterns just start to emerge.
Yes, massive pattern. So I really want to warn you listening, do not underestimate a short text. This page is like a linguistic keyhole.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it looks tiny, but if you peer through it, you actually see the entire world's approach to value. And the very first trend that jumps out from this document is this story about physical survival.
Yes. The document establishes immediately that $2 is not, it's not a static concept.
Right.
It introduces this whole global landscape of currency, and specifically the physical transformation of that currency over time.
Okay, so let's look at the currency section of this page. The first few bullet points outline an incredibly specific historical pattern. We see Australia, we see Canada, and we see New Zealand.
3 major Commonwealth nations.
Exactly. And the text describes their $2 iterations in a very, very deliberate way.
Yeah.
So for Australia, it lists the Australian $2 coin, which replaced the Australian $2 note.
Right.
And then for New Zealand, it's the New Zealand $2 coin, which replaced the $2 banknote.
And then for Canada, the source actually gives us its colloquial name.
Oh, yeah, the toonie.
Right, the toonie, the Canadian $2 coin, which replaced the Canadian $2 bill.
The toonie. It's such a great detail that the source explicitly highlights that nickname. But notice the repetition across all 3 of those entries.
Replaced.
Replaced.
Replaced, yeah.
It really emphasizes evolution. It's like upgrading a frequently used software program, right? Like when the old version just isn't efficient enough anymore, you just roll out the 2.0 patch.
Well, actually, I'd argue software is the wrong analogy here.
Oh, wait, really? How so?
Because software doesn't suffer physical wear and tear,
Oh, sure.
right? Like a bug in code doesn't happen because you clicked a button too many times.
Okay, fair point.
This trend that the source is highlighting, it's strictly about the physical degradation of atoms in the real world.
The actual physical object.
Exactly. Think of it more like replacing a wooden footbridge with a steel one because the daily foot traffic just got too heavy.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So in this scenario, what is the foot traffic?
It's the velocity of money, and that is driven by inflation.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. So decades ago, a $2 bill represented a pretty decent amount of purchasing power.
Right, you could buy a lot with it.
Right. You might only use it once a week. But as the cost of goods rises over time, $2 just becomes the price of a coffee.
Or like a bus fare.
Exactly, or a quick snack.
Yeah.
So it becomes a denomination that gets used in high-frequency, daily, low-value transactions.
Meaning it changes hands constantly.
Constantly. And paper bills, which, by the way, are usually made of like a cotton linen blend, they're fundamentally fragile.
Right.
So when a denomination becomes this high-velocity transaction tool, a paper bill might only survive in circulation for, I don't know, maybe 12 to 18 months.
Wow, that's short.
Yeah, before it literally falls apart, tears, or just becomes too filthy to use.
Oh, gross. And when millions of bills are falling apart every year, the government obviously has to pay to constantly print replacements.
Precisely. It becomes a huge economic drain just to maintain the physical vessel of the currency.
Wow.
But a heavy metal coin, on the other hand, it does cost slightly more to mint initially, but it can stay in circulation for 30 years or more.
30 years compared to 18 months.
Exactly. So when the source explicitly defines the Australian, New Zealand, and Canadian $2 coins by the fact that they replaced paper bills, it is documenting a macroeconomic survival mechanism.
That is fascinating.
Yeah, the paper was no longer serving its purpose, so a heavier, more durable metal form just had to take over.
I really love that. The value, like the actual purchasing power, remains exactly the same. But the physical vessel carrying that value has to adapt to survive the reality of human commerce.
It's literally an evolutionary upgrade.
Which naturally brings up a pretty glaring question.
Hmm.
If this paper-to-metal evolution is such a clear economically driven pattern in these three nations,
Right.
what does it say about the countries that did not make the switch?
Oh, that is where the source document gets really interesting. Because it provides the contrast right there in the exact same list.
Right, because not every country evolved their physical $2 denomination into a coin.
No, some are holdouts.
And the most famous holdout, which is sitting right there on the page, is the United States.
Yep.
Look at how the text describes the American version. It simply says, United States $2 bill, a current denomination of U.S. currency.
The contrast in the phrasing is so stark.
It really is.
Unlike Australia, Canada, or New Zealand, there is absolutely no mention of it being replaced by a coin.
None.
The U.S. entry doesn't define the $2 by a historical evolution. It is defined simply by its ongoing static presence. The paper bill survives.
It is so stubborn. I
Yeah.
mean, we just established this inevitable economic pipeline of upgrading from paper to metal because of wear and tear.
Right.
Why is the U.S. just sitting there resolutely remaining a paper bill? Do Americans just have gentler hands?
Hardly. No, the U.S. is a holdout because of this really fascinating economic principle called Gresham's Law.
Gresham's Law. Okay, I need you to break that down for me.
Sure. So Gresham's Law is often summarized as bad money drives out good.
Bad money drives out good. Okay.
Yeah. In behavioral economics, if people have two types of money with the exact same face value, they will spend the one they perceive as less valuable, the bad money, and they'll hoard the one they perceive as more valuable or rare.
The good money.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Okay, I totally see where this is going.
Right. In the United States, the $2 bill was never printed in the same massive quantities as the $1 bill.
Okay.
Because people rarely saw them in their daily change, they started to view them as novelties.
Yeah. Grandparents would put them inside birthday cards,
Exactly. People would tuck them into a drawer as a little keepsake.
which completely becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because everyone thinks they are rare, nobody spends them.
Right.
And because nobody spends them, they actually do become rare in CAD registers.
You nailed it. They aren't suffering the 18-month physical degradation we talked about earlier because they simply aren't participating in high-velocity commerce.
They are sitting safely in wallets and bedside tables.
Exactly. Therefore, the U.S. government never felt the economic pressure to replace them with a durable metal coin.
That makes so much sense.
The source document's description of it as simply a current denomination. It perfectly captures this static, hoarded existence. It survived the paper-to-metal pipeline by just opting out of daily circulation altogether.
That is a brilliant cocktail party fact to keep in your back pocket. Like, the U.S. $2 bill survived because we effectively turned it into a souvenir.
Pretty much.
But then right below that on the list, the source gives us yet another completely different way to define a $2 currency.
You're referring to the Hong Kong entry.
Yes, the Hong Kong $2 coin. Now, this one is a coin, so it's metal.
Right.
But the source doesn't define it by saying it replaced a paper note like Canada or Australia did. It categorizes it in a totally unique way.
It categorizes it strictly by its rank.
Yeah.
The text states it is the third highest denomination coin of the Hong Kong dollar.
The third highest, which, I mean, why would a brief disambiguation page include such a strangely specific detail?
Because it reveals another fundamental truth about how we interact with money.
Okay.
In Hong Kong, the defining characteristic of this coin isn't its evolutionary history, and it isn't some cultural quirk of hoarding like in the U.S.
Right.
Its defining feature is its place within a hierarchy. Money is fundamentally a system of relativity.
A system of relativity.
Yes. When you reach into your pocket in Hong Kong, you aren't thinking about the abstract concept of 2 units of value.
You're just trying to pay for something.
Exactly. You are feeling around for the sizes and shapes of the coins. The $2 coin has a specific job in relation to the coins around it.
Oh, I see.
By calling it the third highest, the source is reminding us that money doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists as a carefully spaced mathematical ladder that's designed to make giving exact change as efficient as possible.
It's the bronze medalist of Hong Kong coins.
Yes.
I love this. This whole section pushes back on something that, honestly, we take entirely for granted.
We really do.
We assume money is this universal standardized thing. But looking at just these 5 countries on this brief list, the exact same mathematical concept, $2, takes on completely different identities.
Yeah.
It is an evolutionary upgrade in Canada, it's a culturally hoarded survivor in the U.S., and it's a structural rank in Hong Kong.
It really highlights how localized our relationship with physical money truly is. The physics, the psychology, and the mathematics, they all change depending on whose border you happen to be standing inside.
Which perfectly sets up the next major revelation from this source document. Because so far, we've only been talking about dollars.
Right.
But the concept of a $2 symbol extends far beyond the English word for that specific currency.
It does. The source transitions from focusing on the physical form of the money to highlighting the incredible geographic and linguistic diversity of the 2-unit value.
Right. The page has this massive list of what it calls other currencies with $2 banknotes, bills, or coins. And just the geographic reach is staggering. It lists all these other dollars first. So we have the Bahamian dollar, Barbadian, Belize, Bermudian, Cook Islands, Fijian, Singapore, Solomon Islands, and the Tuvaluan dollar.
Just visualizing those locations on a map takes you from the Caribbean Sea, across the Pacific Ocean, deep into Oceania, and all the way up into the heart of Southeast Asia.
It's wild.
All united under this one specific numerical denomination.
But here is where the source completely shatters the American-centric view of the world.
Yeah, this is key.
It goes beyond the word dollar. The source explicitly attaches the dollar sign symbol to entirely different linguistic terms for value.
Right.
We see the Argentine peso, the Mexican peso, the Uruguayan peso. We see the Brazilian real.
This is a crucial detail to unpack, because in the minds of many listeners, the dollar sign symbol is inextricably linked to the American dollar, or at least Western dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
But this disambiguation page groups all of these diverse currencies under the banner of that same symbol, proving that the symbol itself has completely detached from its origins. Wow.
It has become a broader universal signifier for a unit of value, regardless of the local terminology.
It acts almost like a linguistic chameleon.
Yes.
Like if you're traveling the world, this one visual symbol just adapts to whatever local economic environment it finds itself in.
Exactly.
And the source includes 2 currencies that perfectly illustrate this. Let me see if I can get these right. The text lists the Samoan Tala
Yep, the Kala.
and the Tongan Polanga.
You pronounce those perfectly. The Samoan Tala and the Tongan Polanga. And what's remarkable is the structural grouping here.
What do you mean?
By placing them under the $2 heading, the source is demonstrating that this symbol is effectively a global translation device.
The translation device for value.
Exactly. Think about it. You might be standing in a market in Tonga holding a palanga, or in Sao Paulo holding a real, or in Mexico City holding a peso.
Right.
The paper looks totally different. The language spoken around you is different. The actual purchasing power is wildly different.
Yeah. But conceptually, on this global index of human information, they share an identical structural tie to the concept of that $2 symbol.
That is so cool.
The symbol anchors the world's commerce.
It really makes you realize how interconnected global finance is, even down to a seemingly random 2-unit denomination.
Really?
It's this tiny invisible thread tying the Cook Islands to Mexico, to Singapore, to Samoa. You could honestly spend a lifetime traveling just to collect the physical objects that this one page lists.
Which is a vast network of physical value mapped out through a single shared symbol, which makes the final piece of this document so shocking.
Shocking is the right word, because after this massive global tour, after tracing this symbol through heavy metal toonies, stubbornly hoarded American paper, Hong Kong hierarchies, and Tongan palangas,
Right.
the source takes a massive, counterintuitive leap.
It really does.
It completely strips away the physical monetary value entirely.
It basically pulls the rug out from under the entire concept of currency. Under a separate heading labeled simply Other Uses, there is exactly one bullet point.
Just one.
It states that $2 is a formal parameter in some programming languages.
I have to admit, when I first read that line, my brain just kind of stopped.
It's jarring.
A formal parameter. Like, throughout this entire exploration, the symbol has meant money. Tangible, exchangeable, culturally significant money.
Right.
And then in the final line of the document, it just isn't. It becomes code.
It is a brilliant pivot, really, and it represents the ultimate abstraction of the symbol.
Okay.
To understand why this is so profound, we have to look at how a formal parameter actually functions in computer science.
Please do, because for anyone who doesn't code, formal parameters sounds like incredibly intimidating jargon. How does this actually work?
Okay, let's use a very common environment like bash scripting.
Bash scripting.
Yeah, which is basically just a way to give direct text commands to your computer's operating system.
Got it.
In bash, the $sign followed by a number is a way of grabbing user input. It's a placeholder.
Okay, a placeholder, like an empty box.
Exactly like an empty box.
Yes.
Let's say you write a tiny 2-word program to move a file from your desktop to your documents folder.
Okay, simple enough.
You type the command move_file, and then you type the name of the file, let's say budget.pdf, and then you type the destination documents.
Move_file, budget.pdf, documents. Makes total sense.
Behind the scenes, the computer needs a way to organize those words you just typed.
Okay.
So it assigns the first word after your command budget.pdf to a variable called $1.
Ah, okay.
And it assigns the second word documents to a variable called $2.
Oh, so the $2 just means whatever the user types second.
Precisely. In this context, that symbol has absolutely zero inherent value.
Wow.
It isn't two of anything. It has no monetary weight. It doesn't represent an exchange of goods or services. It is pure structural logic.
That is wild.
That is literally a designated parking spot in the computer's memory just waiting for data to arrive.
That is mind-bending when you put it next to everything else we've discussed. I mean, a physical $2 Canadian coin holds actual value in your pocket.
Right.
You can feel its weight. You can trade it for a coffee. A U.S. $2 bill holds emotional value tucked into a birthday card.
Exactly.
But a $2 formal parameter is completely hollowed out.
Yes.
The symbol has been drained of its real-world economic meaning and repurposed as scaffolding for digital architecture.
It documents the transition of a symbol from physical weight to cultural habit to weightless logic.
Ultimate abstraction.
It really is. We took a symbol created for human commerce and fed it into the machines that now run our world, fundamentally changing what the symbol means.
I just marvel at the journey this single brief page takes you on. I mean, we're talking about a few dozen words total, sitting on a server somewhere, last updated on a random day in May.
It's incredible.
But when you actually unpack the mechanics behind those words, it covers the entire spectrum of human civilization's relationship with value.
It perfectly illustrates why we can't take mundane information for granted.
Right.
Like, a disambiguation page isn't just a list to help you click the right link. It is an incredibly condensed map of human meaning.
Yeah.
It shows us how we assign identity to symbols, how the physical reality of atoms forces those symbols to evolve, how human psychology causes us to hoard them.
How they spread geographically across oceans.
Exactly. And how they ultimately become abstracted into the digital ether.
It completely changes how I will look at a $2 bill or $2 coin, depending on where I happen to be standing.
Right.
So to wrap this up for you listening, our mission today was to show you how a tiny source can yield massive insights.
And I think we did that.
I hope so. We started with a literal list of definitions, a linguistic keyhole. And through it, we watched the brutal economics of inflation force the paper-to-metal pipeline across Australia, New Zealand, and Canada.
We explored Gresham's Law, revealing why the stubborn U.S. paper bill survives purely because we treat it as a novelty rather than money.
We admired the structural, mathematical rank of the Hong Kong coin, reminding us that money is all relative. We took a global tour through pesos, reals, and pulongas,
proving that the $sign is a global chameleon that totally transcends its Western origins.
And finally, we watched the whole concept dissolve into the abstract realm of computer programming, where that symbol becomes nothing more than an empty parameter, just a silent parking spot for data in a bash script.
It is a wild ride for a single symbol.
It really is.
And as we consider that final leap into digital abstraction, it actually leaves a lingering thought to pull on long after this deep dive ends.
Okay, let's hear it.
Throughout this exploration, we've seen how the exact same string of characters can represent a heavy metal coin fighting off physical wear and tear, or a fragile piece of hoarded paper, or an empty parameter in code.
Right.
It makes you wonder, as our world moves further away from cash and deeper into digital transactions, is all our physical money destined to become like that programming parameter?
Wait, what do you mean?
Just think about it. When you tap your phone to pay for groceries, no paper changes hands. No metal toonies are dropped in a till.
Right, it's just digital.
The value is just data moving from one server to another. Are we witnessing the slow, inevitable process of all physical currency being stripped of its paper and metal, destined to become nothing more than abstract symbols floating in a sea of logic?
Wow. Now that is something to think about the next time you see a $2 bill tucked away in a drawer. Is it a keepsake? Or is it a fossil from a physical world we are leaving behind? Thank you for joining us on this exploration. Keep looking closely at the world around you. Keep questioning the seemingly obvious. And remember, you can find the most massive, world-spanning insights in the absolute smallest of sources.